Now, you were born and grew up in Utica, New York. How much of an influence was that in formulating the storyline for this book?
Well, the weird thing is that I grew up in Utica and I thought that nothing ever happened there. And I was one of the people who was like, I'm getting out. I'm moving to New York. I'm going to do theater. And I did that. But it's really unfair to Utica. And it's unfair to all the history there because Utica ended up being the center of a lot of abolition organization. You might think of Boston as the center, and it was, in a way, Philadelphia, extremely important,
Right.
New York. But Utica had this meeting that was the founding meeting of the New York Anti-Slavery Society in 1835,
Right.
in October. And the organizers were vilified in the press at the time, saying that they were going to, that all this was going to disgrace Utica, and that to have abolitionists with their wild ideas here would just be absolutely the worst thing. And so there were very rich men, gentlemen of property and standing, who were trying to stop this meeting from going forward. And one of the things that I was doing before I started writing the book was flipping to the index of a number of books on the Underground Railroad, because I knew something had to be going on, but I'd never been taught what. And all of a sudden I found in one book this reference to the Utica anti-abolition riot, and that was in 2007. And so I began doing research about this incident. And that incident was so compelling that I thought I have to create I have to find a way to communicate this incident, all of the politics around it, in a way that people will enjoy. And I thought about writing an opera, and I thought about writing a musical, but I ended up with a novel. I started pitching this story to David Black, who is a good friend of mine.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you don't want to use all of the dialogue and everything that was real. What you want is you want a guy who finds two people who are escaping from slavery in his barn, and he believes that freed people and enslaved people should be sent to Africa, to Liberia. So he has to decide what to do. It's a moral question for him. And I thought, I like the moral question about, at this time, there is a whole argument going on between those who would like to see the free black population stay in the United States and the enslaved people freed.
Right.
And then there was another side who thought we will never be able to have all of these people of African descent in our society, so we must send them to Africa. And these were people who were born in the United States,
Right.
but they had no right to citizenship.
Right.
So the Colonization Society is for sending people to Liberia. This is a country that still exists. It was already founded by this time, and there were people being sent sort of regularly there. And the people who were opposing the abolitionists were mostly for colonization. And so I got very involved in that politics. So going back to David Black, he said, have this guy find people who are enslaved in his barn. And I thought, I don't really want to write about a guy who finds people in his barn. I'm going to write about his wife, who doesn't have much agency, who's young, who doesn't really know her own power yet. Let her find the people and try to decide what's the right thing to do.